Mikel Arteta, he should be worried. Manchester United are coming to the Emirates with the blueprint that could seriously hurt Arsenal's title race. In this video, I'm breaking down why the safe bet on Arsenal could actually be a trap and why Man City fans should be cheering for their City rivals this weekend. We're also diving into Man City taking on Wolves this weekend, and could this game potentially bring the biggest upset of the weekend? Newcastle take on Aston Villa, Palace are hosting Chelsea, and a massive test and potentially last game for Arne Slot's Liverpool away against Bournemouth. Xabi Alonso, he's going to have his eyes on this one for sure. All these games plus more, including the top two from Spain. And if you want to beat the bookies this weekend, this is the video you need to see. I've also posted my top 5 games and personal predictions on my V.I.P.P members channel over on Patreon. So if you want to check that out, the link is down in the description. And if you do enjoy this video, then please give it a like and don't forget to subscribe as well. And I promise to all of you that I will continue to do my very best every weekend to share with you the most accurate footballing predictions. Welcome everyone to Panenka Predictions. Let's talk football. The first game that I like from this weekend's action comes from the Premier League and is between Fulham and Brighton. Fulham currently sit in 11th spot on the table and they've only tasted defeat once in the last 7 games, and that was last weekend against my boys Leeds United. Before that they beat Chelsea 2-1, drew 2-2 with Liverpool and also drew 1-1 with Crystal Palace. So Fulham are a very difficult team to beat. Brighton are all about taking points off difficult teams though, as they firstly knocked Manchester United out of the FA Cup after drawing with both City and Bournemouth last weekend, and they will come into this game knowing that they're fully capable of coming away with some points. Maybe it'll be 3 or maybe it'll be just the 1. To be honest, this is a hard one to call, but one thing that I'm pretty confident about is that both teams will score at this game. What do you guys think will happen between Fulham and Brighton to kick off our predictions this weekend? Leave your safest predictions for this game down in the comments. And speaking about going down, Manchester City are taking on championship-bound Wolverhampton Wolves this weekend. Now, can this game possibly bring us the biggest surprise result of the weekend? Last weekend's round was full of surprises and drop points by many of the bigger teams in the Premier League, and I for one was very surprised to see Manchester United win the derby and thoroughly dominate the derby as well. And the citizens, to be honest, they were lucky to escape with only a 2-0 loss. Man Utd had a few goals ruled out for offside, rightly so, but it did paint the correct picture of the game, which was that Man U was asking all the questions. Can you imagine now if Wolves pull off the same result this weekend? Wolves played with their back to the walls against Newcastle United last weekend, and they were able to grind out a 0-0 draw that earned them a potentially valuable point. That's 5 games now undefeated for Wolverhampton, and they may have finally discovered a formula to frustrate their opponents, if not win the game themselves. The question for this game is for how long will they be able to hold out a Manchester City that absolutely need to win this game if they're to close the gap on Arsenal this weekend. A lot of you may be thinking that City are going to wipe the floor with the bottom of the table side, but I'm not so sure. Wolves will be the fresher of the two teams coming into this game, considering City's midweek Champions League commitments, and I think they'll set themselves up again to try and frustrate the title-chasing citizens. City should win this one, no doubt, but I'm going to give Wolves the respect they are currently deserving, and for this game, I'm going to stick with picking under 3.5 goals. Next up, we have Bournemouth looking to heap further misery on an underperforming Liverpool and maybe quicken the arrival of one Xabi Alonso. After the disappointing 1-1 draw at home with second last place Burnley on the weekend, being Liverpool's 4th draw in a row in the Premier League, they are now 7 points behind 3rd place Aston Villa and have 5 teams or 1 win away from kicking them out of the top 4. Szoboszlai skied a penalty in that game before Florian Wirtz gave Liverpool the lead with a nice left foot finish, and he also came close to adding a vital second later in the game. Mo Salah's return from the African Cup may provide the Reds with some extra quality that they apparently need up front to secure the 3 points. They'll have to play Marseille midweek before this fixture, so tired legs may become an issue in the latter stages of the game. Bournemouth, for their part, took a first half lead away against Brighton last weekend, and they nearly managed to add a second on a few occasions, but ultimately they conceded a pretty spectacular last-minute bicycle kick equaliser, and they had to settle for the single point. With only 1 win from their last 5 games now, Bournemouth have dropped down to 15th on the table and will be hoping that their strong form at home this season and the extra rest that they'll have before this game will be enough to help them come away with a positive result. They've now scored a massive 17 goals from their last 8 games in all competitions, and against a possibly tight and irregular Liverpool this weekend, I think their scoring run is very likely to continue. So for my prediction between Bournemouth and Liverpool this weekend, I like both teams to score. One of the teams chasing Liverpool for that coveted 4th place spot is Chelsea, and this weekend they travel to Selhurst Park to face Jean-Philippe Mateta and Crystal Palace. Palace lost 2-1 away at Sunderland on the weekend, and that now extends their winless run in all competitions to 11 games. They did take the lead on the weekend thanks to a 30-minute strike from Yeremy Pino, but that lead lasted only a whole 3 minutes before goals from Lefy and Brobbery saw the home team claim all 3 points. Palace are still 11 points clear of the relegation zone right now, but they will be hoping to end their winless run this weekend against a Chelsea side that have only managed 1 win from their last 7 Premier League outings. That win came last round at home against an informed Brentford side, where the 2-0 win allowed them to leapfrog Brentford up into 6th place. They've got a Champions League game against Paphos in midweek, which they really need to win to help their chances of qualifying for the next round. So their new manager, Liam Rosenoir, I probably said that wrong, will be hoping for a strong start in that game so he can then rotate the squad and concentrate on getting the 3 points in this game. It won't be easy against the Palace side that has drawn their last 2 games at home, both against Aston Villa and Fulham, and I personally think that this game is probably going to end in a draw as well. However, for my prediction, I'm going to be going for both teams to score between Crystal Palace and Chelsea. What do you guys think is going to happen in this London derby? Please leave your thoughts and predictions on this game down in the comments. Newcastle United, hoping to move up into a Champions League spot for next season, take on an Aston Villa side, not only looking the goods to be there as well, but to possibly push Arsenal all the way in this year's title chase. Newcastle disappointingly, but not surprisingly, drew with bottom place Wolves last weekend. They dominated that game thoroughly and the possession stats against Wolves, but they must have left their finishing boots back in the northeast and had to settle for a draw. They face a relentless PSV in midweek, and they do need the 3 points to help them secure their qualification for the next round in the Champions League. So it's back-to-back big games for Eddie Howe's boys. Villa will be kicking themselves after failing to capitalise on both Man City and Arsenal slip-ups at the weekend, as they too dropped points really surprisingly at home against Everton. Aside from their second half semi-revival, Villa were far from their best in that game and were ultimately beaten by a solitary strike from Everton striker Tierno Barry. They also have a tough European game in midweek as they travel to Turkey to face an informed Fenerbahce in the Europa League, which also means aside from the extra travelling they'll have to do, they will suffer from 1 day's less rest before they face the Geordies at St James's Park. Newcastle, they do seem to enjoy their home games against Aston Villa, and I think that this one won't be so different come full time. So for my prediction, I'm going to be taking Newcastle on a double chance in this home game against Aston Villa. And that basically means that either a home win or a draw for Newcastle, and our bet will win. And saving the biggest game from this weekend's round of the EPL till last, we have league leaders Arsenal taking on a potentially resurgent Manchester United. Arsenal failed to capitalise on Man City's earlier defeat last weekend, as they too stumbled on their away travels and were held to a 0-0 draw against struggling Nottingham Forest. Unable to make a breakthrough in the first half, Arsenal rang the changes in the second half, bringing on all attackers, but were still unable to find that winning goal. They travelled to Italy in midweek to face a strong Inter Milan in the Champions League, where they'll be hoping to secure their qualification, maintaining their 100% winning record. But no será facile. Man U have no such problems in midweek, as they didn't qualify for Europe this season at all. But if they continue the form that they showed in their last weekend's derby against City, then next season could be quite different. They're currently in 5th place right now, just 1 point behind Liverpool in 4th spot, and they'll be ready to capitalise on any mistakes or tired legs evident in the Gunners' side. Man U have now won 2 and drawn 3 of their last 5 Premier League games, and with their whole squad available for this game, they'll be confident on taking more points from this one. I think most people will rightly favour the Gunners to get the 3 points at home in this game, but based on United's performance last weekend, it's not going to be easy. For me, the prediction that I feel is probably the safest one for this game is going to be for both teams to score. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see either team get a second goal in this game as well. Who do you think will come out on top in this historically epic clash between Arsenal and Man U this weekend? Come on, Gunners and Red Devil supporters, leave your predictions and your comments down below. Let's get the chat started. Our next game comes from La Liga in Spain, where we have Villarreal hosting and hopefully beating Real Madrid. Villarreal still sit third in La Liga, even after their surprise 2-0 loss away at Betis last weekend. But Atletico Madrid are equal on points now, so any more drop points could prove costly. Villarreal take on Ajax in the Champions League at the same time as Madrid will be facing Monaco, so both teams may have to rotate players if they are to prioritise getting the points in this one. Madrid played quite poorly again last weekend, but still got the 3 points at home against Levante and closed the gap on Barcelona, who were disallowed 2 goals for supposed offsides against Real Sociedad and ended up losing their game 2-1. It would be nice to see the Yellow Submarine come out on top in this game, but I won't be backing them with my money to do so. Instead, I feel much safer sticking with the goals marker in this game, and I'm going to be going for over 2.5 goals between Villarreal and Real Madrid. And in the final game from this weekend, we have Barcelona at home against last place Real Oviedo. Barcelona lost their first game in, well, donkey's years last weekend as they went down 2-1 away against Sociedad. They had goals disallowed, penalties overturned, and really nothing was going their way in that game, and I don't think they deserve to lose that game, to be honest, but the footballing gods thought otherwise. Oviedo will also feel hard done by, having taken the lead on 2 occasions last weekend against Osasuna, only to concede 2 equalizers and then a very late goal to undo all their hard work. Those 3 points for Oviedo would have propelled them up to second last on the table, but they still find themselves 7 points behind 17th place Valencia. It would take a miracle and then some to see Oviedo getting any points from this game against the champions, who will probably field a second string side in the Champions League in midweek against Slavia Prague, as they look to concentrate on opening the league once again at the top of the La Liga table. Oviedo had managed to record 3 consecutive draws in the league prior to last weekend's loss, but I think we'll be in for a bit of a show in this game as Barcelona will want to make up for last week's poor result, and I feel that Oviedo might be put to the sword in this game. So for my prediction between Barcelona and Santiago Cazorla's Real Oviedo, I'm going for Barcelona to get the home win with over 2.5 goals in this game. They are all my predictions for this coming weekend of football. Guys, let me know your thoughts on these predictions and any predictions of your own for the upcoming games, and let's see what we can all agree on. Football, as I'm sure you all know, can be super unpredictable. The table only tells a quarter of the underlying story. That's why I spend hours upon hours every week studying the data, the tactics of each team, the relevance of every game to try and make the difference between a winning weekend and a losing one. So if you're tired of guessing and want to see exactly what I'm backing every weekend and why, then for less than the cost of 2 coffees per month, come and join the Inner Circle on Patreon. The link is down in the description. And whether you join us there or simply subscribe to this channel, I appreciate you being part of the Panenka community, and I wish you all the very best of luck with your predictions this weekend. Stay disciplined, support with your heart, but bet with your mind. And I'll see you all again in the next video.